I am Nasma Perumal Chandramohan. I am the co-founder of GG Technologies Private Limited, and also I am an Microsoft MVP for last 10 years, and I am specialized MVP on M365 platform. So what my company does is that we are providing tenant to tenant migration solution for M365 for all the workloads. It is across all the power platforms like Power Automate, Power BI, Microsoft Forms. We are providing for OneDrive, SharePoint, Teams, uh, Exchange. On all the platforms or all the workloads are supported. So here is what we are covering in the next 40 minutes. I I want to be upfront. This is the demo heavy session. You are spending your Saturday here, so I am going to respect your time and show you the real thing, not just the slides. So this is, I'm just want to set 2 minutes of context. Then we are into the live demo for most of the session. By end of the session, you will have everything you need to set this up Monday morning on your tenant. So today we are going to speak about how you can utilize Microsoft MCP server for your enterprise. So Microsoft recently in Ignite 2025 November, the event happened on November 2025 Ignite, and they have released MCP server for enterprise. It is purely built on top of Graph API, and using this MCP server, you can query uh, your M365 tenant easily, and they have covered all the Entra points, all the endpoints are covered in the graph, and it is working superbly, and it is really helpful. You can start using it immediately. So, so first we will be speaking about how you can use MCP server for your security assessment, and we will be speaking about what is MCP server and how you can set MCP server for enterprise with just simple few commandlets. And then we will be running into the demo. So most of the time we are going to spend our time on the security assessment, how we can use MCP server for enterprise to do our security assessment. And then we will spend some time on what is the difference between the MCP server, and then we have security copilot, and also we have agent 365. So what are all these things, and when to use where? So we will be discussing a few differences and how those component MCP server, security copilot, and agent 365 are different. And then we will be speaking about the governance and the limitations of MCP server for enterprise. And then again, we will be having another demo where we will be using multiple MCP servers. We will be using the MCP server for enterprise, and also we will be using the Microsoft Learn MCP server. Actually, Microsoft hosted their Learn docs, all the Learn docs as an MCP server also. We are going to use both the MCP servers and see how it is going to work. And finally, we will be seeing how we can use this MCP server for enterprise in VS Code and see how it is going to work. So wherever you are, even if you are a dev, you are in dev, or you are an IT person, whoever it may be, or your workflow is in if you are using ChatGPT or Cloud or something, you can use the MCP server for enterprise in all the places. We will be seeing how you can set up a MCP server for enterprise in ChatGPT, and you can do the steps. So let me ask you some simple question. Consider this scenario. It is a Friday afternoon, and your CASO send you a message, and he needs a complete picture of who has global admin and who has the global admin privilege, and whether they have whether all the global admins have MFA enabled, and he wants the report by end of the day. So it is already the Friday afternoon. So here is what most of us will do. What we will be doing is that So what traditionally we will be doing is that we will open Graph Explorer or PowerShell, look up the role management endpoint. We will be looking on the role management endpoint, and then we will be figuring out the template ID for the global administrator. And finally, we will query the role members. Then cross-reference this with the authentication methods, that is different endpoint. And finally, you will be doing some export operation, format it, and finally send it to your CASO. So this is how you will be working traditionally. And if you think and if you know that you are doing what you are doing, it will take 30 to 45 minutes in solid to do all these steps. But suppose if you are using MCP server for enterprise, you can do the same stuff and complete it in 30 seconds. So what you will be doing is that what if I told you the same answer that will take one sentence and 30 seconds. This is the beauty of MCP server for enterprise. And that's what I'm trying to show you today. First, let me give you some just enough context to understand what's happening under the hood. So MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. Think of it as a USB-C port for all the AI. So before USB-C port, every phone had a different charger. And before MCP, every AI tool needed a custom integration to talk to your data. So MCP is an open standard created by Anthropic, but later adapted by Microsoft, OpenAI, Google, and broad ecosystem. So it is open. It is not a proprietary solution. So any client can use it. And Microsoft went all in. The enterprise MCP server connects to any MCP client directly to Graph API. And the third one, the best part is zero cost. So there is no license, no SEO. If you are using security copilot, then you have SEUs. So here there is nothing, zero cost, no license, no SEU, no additional spend. It uses it is going to use your delegated graph permission you already have. So we are not going to use the application permission. It is not going to run as a global admin or something like that. So it will run with whatever permission you have currently, and it will work on it. So right now, so VS Code is the primary client we are going to use today for the demo. And that's what we will be demoing it today. But ChatGPT, Claude, Azure AI Foundry, GitHub Copilot, CLI, all will work too. I will show you the ChatGPT later. One of the caveat I want to say here is this is still in public preview. Been there since November 2025, no GA date yet. I will be honest about the limitations later. Let me show you the architecture first, and then we will dive into the live demo. So here is how the uh, query flows. Whatever the prompt that you are giving in the VS Code, chat, Copilot chat, or Chat GPT. So you have a question in plain English. The AI client, in our case, it is going to be VS Code for Copilot chat, and then it sends it to the MCP server. So the MCP server has a RAG layer with around more than 500 plus real world example. It translates your natural language into right graph API call. Then it executes the call against your tenant using the call against your tenant using your permission. And finally, the results come back as a natural language summary. So, and I want to make sure you have 5 things your security team will want to know. This MCP server for enterprise going to use the delegated permissions only. It runs as you, not as an app. It can only see what you can already see. So nothing, it is not an privileged or nothing. Uh, it can use the permissions that you already have. And the RAG layer is doing the heavy lifting here. It is translating the graph, sorry, it is translating the English prompt into graph API. And right now, the read only in preview. It cannot make changes. So it is safe for production. You don't need to worry about any write operations or anything. It is completely read only solution right now. So, and also everything is logged in graph activity logs, fully auditable. So you can go to compliance portal, Microsoft Purview. There you can check the audit logs. There you can see what are the activities done using the MCP server for enterprise. And there are actually two MCP servers, enterprise for querying your tenant and learn for pulling Microsoft documentation. We will use both today. So the main beauty here is apart from building a MCP server, what Microsoft does is that they have a RAG layer, which does the heavy lifting. What Microsoft does is here is there are more than 500 real world examples they have added in their RAG layer. So when you enter the prompt, it will go against the RAG layer and it will find the required graph APIs. What are the graph APIs it needs to connect? There are multiple examples. They have added tons of examples and everything will be there. So appropriate examples are retrieved back and the corresponding graph API is formed and it is queried against your tenant and it is returned back to you in normal language, in normal English language. So and also the response is prompted, formatted. So suppose if you are building your own MCP server, it won't be optimized in this high level. So basically Microsoft does an highly optimized solution. So it is better to start using this MCP server and start exploring how your tenant is. So setting up this is a three PowerShell commands. That's it. So first we need to connect our tenant with the required scopes. So to connect with our Entra tenant, we need to use the command like connect dash Entra, and also we need to use the scopes application.readWrite all and directory.read all and delegated permissions grant.readWrite all. We need all these three permissions to connect with our Entra tenant. So so the next step is that we need to provide the permissions. In our case, we are going to use the Visual Studio Code and the ChatGPT. So in this next step, I need to provide the required server permissions. What this command like the grant Entra beta MCP server permission dash application name Visual Studio Code does is that it will create an application, Azure AD application in my tenant with the required scopes. Microsoft actually added various scopes under the graph API itself. All the permission starts with the prefix MCP dot directory dot read all like that. They have added all the permissions are prefix with the word MCP dot. You can use the particular phrase MCP dot to differentiate whether this permissions comes from MCP server or not. So if you are going to use MCP server for enterprise from Visual Studio Code, you need to run the first commandlet. Suppose if you are going to use the MCP server for enterprise using ChatGPT or Cloud, you just need to change the application name. Maybe in our case, ChatGPT or Cloud, we need to type it. So once the second step is completed, then we need to install the MCP server in our Visual Studio Code, and then we need to authenticate. That's all, it's done. For Visual Studio Code, you need to be in the agent mode, not in the regular chat mode, and you need to enable both the MCP servers, the MCP server for enterprise, and the learn documentation, learn docs also. And then for Chat GPT, we need to enable the developer mode settings in the connector page, and then we need to authenticate it. So let me show you quickly what this looks like in Visual Studio Code, and we shall do an assessment of our tenant. Let me switch to Visual Studio Code. So in the Visual Studio Code, I have already installed the MCP server for enterprise, and also the Microsoft Learn MCP server. I have enabled both the MCP servers. If I click the gear icon, I can see this MCP server is connected with my demo tenant, and also it is in the running state. So if you are going to start from fresh, from scratch, you just need to search for MCP, Microsoft MCP server for enterprise from the extensions. From here, you need to search it, and then you need to install it. Once you have installed it, you just need to configure. It is just connecting your demo tenant or whatever tenant you have with this MCP server. That's it. And then once you have done that, the MCP server will start automatically. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to restart the server first. So in the bottom, you can see the my MCP server for enterprise has started. And let's start doing some query. First, what we are going to do is that I'm going to prompt. I'm going to try to get the entire tenant data, or how it is look and how my entire tenant is looking like this. So, so before jumping, I want to just give you a quick introduction what is the background of our demo. So assume that just I have been given access to a relatively a new tenant. Maybe I am an MSP onboarding a new client or a security admin who have just joined the growing organization. And the tenant is just only a few month old, a couple of month old tenant, but the security posture problems start on the day one. Let's see what we can do. So assume that this is a very first tenant and we are just starting today. And we are trying to understand what is the security posture today, and we will see what are the issues we have and how we can fix it. How we can fix it. So I'm on. So before starting it, I'm going to the chat window, and then I'm going to the tools. Here, right now, I have enabled only the Microsoft MCP server for enterprise alone. I have not enabled the Microsoft Docs or the Microsoft Learn MCP server. For our initial part of the demos, we will be using the enterprise alone. So I have enabled that, and then my prompt is give me an overview of this Entra ID tenant with the total users, guest users, groups, and the application registrations. Oh, sorry. Okay. So you can watch the tool being invoked at the bottom. It suggests queries first, and then the Microsoft Graph Kit. And we are not just we are not just seeing the single endpoint. We have seen the group endpoint, the user endpoint, and everything, and the Azure application endpoint also. It is querying not just a single endpoint. Actually, we have given a single statement like I want to get the entire tenant structure, how it looks, how many users are there, how many guest users are there, the groups and the application registrations. So it automatically converts all my natural language statement, all the problem statement into multiple graph API, and then it nicely returned a formatted statement of how many users are there, the guest users are there, groups, and application registrations. And then now we are going to try the next one. So now we are going to try how, how many global, how many users are assigned with the global admin role. And I want to have their display name, their UPN, and whether the assignment is direct or through a group. So this is what we have tried. Initially, we have in the problem statement I have mentioned all the global users with global admins with MFA enabled. Now we are just trying a simple one. List all the global admin, all the users with the global admin. Let me try this query. So for every security assessment starts here. So global admin means it is key to the kingdom. And you can notice, I and notice you didn't need to know the role template or the role management API. So finally, the result will appear. There are these many global admins, and it also nicely displays a formatted table of how many, what are the global admins in my tenant, and also it provides the information whether the assignment is direct or through a group. So this is the second query we have tried, and here also you can see that it is not first. It is my statement, the problem statement. My statement has been searched for various graph examples. The RAG example layer, it has searched the RAG example, and then it identify. My LLM has identified what are the graph API queries I need to do, and then it is making various multiple calls. It is first analyzing the role management, and then it is doing, it is using this specific role management ID. It is querying for all the principal IDs where they have the specific role, and then it formats the table. So now I'm going to start with which of these global admins users have not registered any MFA authentication methods. So this is the very first question we had during the session opening. So let us try this, how much time it takes, and we shall see. So this query going to save your Friday afternoon. In Graph API, this requires combining two different endpoints, role assignment and authentication methods. And MCP maintains the context from previous query and handles the cross-reference automatically. Wow, super. We got all the global admins, the list of global admins, and also this set of global admins have not registered MFA. So And also we got a security risk prompt and information like 75% of your global administrator lack MFA protection, and this is a serious security vulnerability in the with the given elevated permissions. So we have just saved we saved 30 to 45 minutes of time. Within some few minutes or in 30 seconds, with a single sentence, we are able to get a critical finding. We have identified a critical finding. These are the users without MFA enabled. Now we shall do another thing. So here what we are going to do is show me all the users with any privileged directory role. It is not just a global admin. And also we are going to include, uh, and I want to include the role name and the display name also. See, not always the global admins is the risky role. We have the exchange admin, we have privileged role admin, we have the application admin role, we have SharePoint admin role, Teams admin role. We have more than hundreds of privileged roles are available in Entra. And always not just the global admin who are going to be the risky one. We have tons of roles available, and we want to make sure all the users with a privileged role should have MFA enabled. So we are trying to analyze that part now. So we tried this query now. We can see that all the privileged users are global admin only, and we don't have any no other user with other privileged roles like Exchange admin, Teams admin, or security admin. And apart from that, there's a note that there are three service principals, that is Azure AD applications with the privileged roles assigned for Microsoft the services. But these are system accounts, not for user accounts. We will be going to see that too in few moment now. Now let's list all the guest users with their display name, email, creation date, and invitation acceptance status, and highlight any whose invitation is not yet been redeemed. So let's try to get all the guest users and also the invitation acceptance status. So the guest users are mostly the overlooked accounts, which and the guest users are the most overlooked attack surface. In a new tenant, the question is not are they still, it is where they even activated, whether they are activated or not, that is also a question. So we have tried this query, and you can see that we have two guest accounts in this Entra tenant, and it has been created on March 1st, and the invitation is not yet accepted. So nicely it has provided a summary, and also I am getting action item also. If the invitation is not redeemed, we can just go ahead and remove this. Now, this till this point, we have seen about the users, guest users, their roles. Now, let's switch the gear and move on to the other part, the Azure AD applications. Now, the users alone not going to be the risky one. We have the Azure AD applications or the service principals with the elevated permission role assigned. We are going to query and see the risky Azure AD applications also. Let me start a new chat window. So now my queries list all the app registrations granted, the application permissions like directory read write all, mail dot read write, or sites dot full control dot all. So basically, I'm trying to understand or try to get all the Azure AD applications with directory.read it all. That is, I can go against my Entra directory and do all the rewrite operations and mail.read it all, and then the site.fullcontrol.all. Something like similar to your security admin or Exchange admin or SharePoint admin. So we are trying to get all the Azure AD applications registered with these permissions. So let's wait for a few more moments. So here the real beauty is that I don't need to remember any of the graph APIs, the endpoints or anything. I just need to come here, connect my uh, Visual Studio Code or something, your chat application with the MCP server and run it. For this query, the query seems to be simple, but uh, it is running a lot of queries, lot of graph APIs in backend to get all these details. So basically, the apps with the high privileged application permissions work without a user context, which are especially a dangerous one. In a new tenant, these are often get over permissioned during the setup. You just set it and fire it up and you forget it. This is how it will be more in most of the cases. You create the Azure AD applications, you set the privileged roles or permissions to those Azure AD applications, and you forget most of the time you forget it. But using the simple query or simple prompt, I'm able to get all the details in few minutes. So it identified, the MCP server has identified three applications. One is the provisioning health in PME. Here it used the highly risk permissions like user.read write all, and then the role management read write directory, and then again some of the highly privileged, maybe the user admin roles it has. User password profile dot read write all, user enable disable account dot all. So it is basically like it has all the permissions we normally provide to user admin role. And then the second one, the managed environments. Here again, it used the redirectory.read all, and then it used mail.read all. So again, something like this Azure application can read all the mails across your mails in all the mailboxes across your tenant. So basically, this is also a risky Azure application. And then we had another one. There too, we have the directory.read all, and then we have the mail.read all. And it has prompted me like it is unable to find any applications or sure any app registrations with the sites.fullcontrol.all permission. So these are very broad permissions to read and modify directory data, user permission, mailboxes across your organization. You should review whether these permissions are still necessary for these applications, or you can just go and disable or remove those things. So this is one of the complex query we have done. I think someone turned on their mic. Thank you. So let's now we shall try another one. Just let me copy the prompt I need. Let me open a new window. Now my prompt is show me all the app registrations with no owner, or also list all the apps with the client secrets that are going to expire it within 30 days. So this is again going to be a compliance blind spot. And no owner means no accountability, and expiring secrets means silent breakage. If your client secrets are going to expire soon, and if you have used these Azure AD applications across your internal applications, those internal applications going to break if you have not renewed the secrets and updating your application. So it first retrieved all the Azure AD applications, and then it is querying the password, app credentials, and listing what are the Azure AD apps with client secret going to expiring in 30 days. But right now, there are no applications, Azure AD applications, with the client secret going to expire on 30 days. Maybe if we increase this limit to something like 100 days or 120 days, we may get. Let's try with 120 days. Okay, it is again returning there are no Azure AD application that is going to expire in 120 days too, but the closest one, since I'm querying again and again, trying to get all the Azure AD applications that are going to expire soon, it is returning me something like MS MCP server demo with the GPT. This is going to expire on in August. So it is outside the 120 days. It is smart enough to still provide something, even if there are no result for my prompt. It is trying to provide something valuable information. So, so in this 15 minutes time, accessed, we assessed the privileged access, MFA coverage, guest hygiene, app permissions, credential health, and app ownership. We have done some 7 queries, I think, in plain English, zero cost, but we have only identified the risk. We have not fixed anything. So let me first put this in context, then I will show you how to close this loop. Let me just give me a moment. Let me switch to the slides. Okay. Now you have seen the MCP server in action. The natural question is, how does this compare to the security copilot and the agent 365? So the very first one, the free is the headline. MCP server for enterprise costs nothing beyond your existing Entra licenses. So security copilot requires SEU-based licensing, and minimum of it requires at least $3,000 per month. For many organizations, MCP server is the entry point to AI-powered security. Maybe I think in Ignite November 2025, Microsoft announced that for all the tenants with E5 license, M365 tenants with M365 E5 licenses, they are providing some basic security copilot SKU. I'm not sure on the limitations or anything, but I think at least we need to have at least 100 M365 E5 licenses in our tenant. If so, it will provide, Microsoft will provide a security copilot, basic level security copilot SQB entry level tier. So, but comparing to MCP server, what we have seen, it is going to be zero cost. And then the uh, depth, depth versus the breadth. The security copilot is a full SOC platform. It correlates across Defender, Sentinel, Intune, and Entra. But MCP server is like laser focused in Entra identity data. Think of MCP as your identity. You think of MCP as your identify security quick check and security copilot as your investigation platform. Use the MCP server to identify or do a quick security check, and then you can go for security copilot for it as an investigation platform. I'm sorry, kindly mute. Someone has unmuted. Okay, let me go and write. So the second point is the very first point is that MCP server is going to be a free one, but security copilot going to cost at least 3,000 per month. And use MCP server as an entry point for your AI-powered security. And then the security pilot is a full SOC platform. It correlates across Defender, Sentinel, Intune, and Entra. MCP server is a laser focused on intra identity data, and think of MCP as your identity security quick check and security copilot as your investigation platform. And the third one, MSP multiplier. If you are managing, consider you are an MSP, and if you are managing 20 plus client tenants, provisioning MCP server at zero cost per tenant is a transformative for you. And also using this, you can get a quick posture assessment, security posture assessment, and you can get you can just use the simple prompts and generate the report and hand the report to the clients. And also you can upsell the remediation services also. Using Microsoft Learn MCP, you can upsell the remediation services to your client also. And then the fourth one, the client flexibility. The security copilot has its own portal, but MCP server works with VS Code, ChatGPT, Cloud, Azure Foundry, whatever your team prefers. And also the main thing, it is not a replacement, it is just a complement. In fact, Security Copilot itself now supports MCP plugins. You can connect external MCP servers to your Security Copilot. The ecosystem is converging. And then the third one, Agent 365 is a builder's path. It is a persistent agents that send emails, create tickets based on findings. It is totally a different use case. Only the names, when we see Agent 365, we assume something else, but it is totally the MCP server for enterprise. Compared to MCP server for enterprise security copilot, the Agent 365 is totally a different one. You can use this for automating something like sending email or for reading the files or something. It is totally a different one. So before we get back to the demos, again, we have a demos. Let me address the governance questions and be honest with the limitations. Your security and compliance team will always want to know, is this audible? Can we auditable or we can control it? The answer is both on both accounts. It is auditable and also you can control it. Every MCP operation flows through Graph API and appears in the Graph activity logs. You can filter this with a specific app ID to isolate all the MCP traffic. And admin control access is explicitly. You can choose with MCP clients, choose which MCP clients get provisioned. You can disable any client at any time through enterprise apps. The permission model uses MCP dot. So I have already mentioned that for in Graph API, we have various scopes like directory.read all, user.read all, like that. For all the MCP permissions, MCP related permissions, we have MCP dot scopes that maps directly to the graph permission. So if you know graph, you already know the MCP scopes also. Now let me be honest, and I think being honest about limitations builds more credibility than pretending they don't even exist. First, it is still in preview. Since November 2025, it is in preview, no GA date announced, and the features may change as the days come. And the second one, the read only. It can identify problems but cannot fix them. It is discovery only. The third one, the complex query can still struggle. The RAG corpus that we have spoken about in the early has about 500 examples, but still the edge cases may produce incorrect RAG calls. And some of the MVPs have documented this as well in their review. If you go and search across MCP server for enterprise reviews or something, you may find many MVPs have documented the edge cases failing with incorrect graph calls. Maybe I can provide you some of the links in the chat window after this session. And then currently it supports the public cloud only, no GCC, no sovereign clouds. And then the fifth one, the auth books. If your VS Code HitGap account differs from your Entra account, you may hit 401 errors. And then the rate limit. And currently, we have 100 calls per minute per user. And I don't think it is an issue. Maybe 100 calls per minute per user is not going to affect you in any way. And then currently, no DCR is supported. But the predefined provisioning of ChatGPT and Claude is actually very easy now. Earlier, what we need to do is that we need to go to the Azure AD app registration portal, and then we need to create app and then provide all the permissions like that. It is going to be a simple one, grant intra client beta, and then we have seen the command let at the start. We just need to provide a single line command let and we are done. So the bottom line is this is the preview software. It is impressive for what it does, but it does not certify. We can't take this as a certified audit tool. Use it for discovery and rapid assessment, then validate and remediate through the portal or PowerShell. Now let's close the loop. We have findings. From finding risk to getting remediation guidelines. Let me switch to VS Code. And then just give me a minute. Now what we are going to do is that let me start a new chat and then let me go to the tools. Till this point, we have enabled only the MCP server for enterprise. This is going to query your graph endpoint alone. Now what we are going to do is we are going to enable the Microsoft Docs MCP server also. Why we are going to do? We have the findings earlier. We have a set of global admins without MFA enabled, or we have Azure AD applications with the privileged roles assigned. So what is the best practice? How I need to fix those things? So using MCP learn server and MCP for server for enterprise, what we are going to do is that we are going to find the security issues, and then we are going to see how we can remediate that too. So I have selected both MCP server for enterprise and MCP server for Microsoft Docs. I have selected both of these. Let me copy the query. Just give me a moment. So my query is that I have found the global admins without MFA in my tenant. Using the Microsoft Doc Search and Microsoft Docs Fetch tools, find the official Microsoft documentation on how to create conditional access policies that require MFA for all users with admin roles. So I'm trying to identify or how I can create a conditional access policy which enforce all the users with administrative rules to have MFA. So here you can see that two MCP servers are working together and the enterprise MCP found the risk and the learn MCP is now pulling the official remediation guidelines. So one conversation, no tab switching, no searching on docs.microsoft.com. So in a real workflow, implementing the CA policy, then rerun the query through to find the fix, identify, remediate, verify, all in one interface. So it has provided all the documents where I can see the official recommendation on how to create a conditional access policy for all the users with admin roles to have MFA. So it beautifully provided the required information. And then now we are going to see another example. Now I am trying to find, copy the query. Now I am trying to find all the app registrations with excessive application permissions. Using again, we are going to use the Microsoft Docs and then try to find the Microsoft best practice for implementing the least privilege application permissions and reviewing the over permissioned apps. Again, the same pattern, different risk, same workflow. So we are identifying it, get official guidance, implementing it, and verifying it. So this is repeatable for any finding. It may be guest cleanup guidance or credential rotation, team configuration. The Learn MCP server covers all of it. So here again, it tried the MCP server, Learn MCP server, and it returned all the things here, better all the docs here. Okay, let me now switch to the slides. So now let me show you. This is not just a VS Code feature. Let me switch to browser. So we are going to see how we can use this MCP server with the ChatGPT. So to do this, what I need to do is I need to go to the Entra portal. Entra portal for this tenant. I'm on the Entra portal for this tenant. And then I need to create an Azure AD application, or I can just run the commandlet. I have already done these steps. So this is the Azure AD application I have created. And then the required permissions are also applied here. Here you can see all the MCP related permissions starts with the prefix MCP dot. So using this, you can easily identify all the MCP related permissions. You just need to come here, click add permission, click here, Microsoft Graph, click delegated permissions. And then if you search for MCP dot, you will get all the MCP related permissions. Since I already added, it is not displaying one. So all the required permissions are given, and then I need to add this as a redirect URI. Create an redirect URI for mobile or desktop application and add this chatgpt.com connector underscore platform underscore auth underscore redirect. Let me go to the ChatGPT. So I'm going to settings tab and then go to apps. Here, if I go to the advanced settings, you can notice that I have enabled the developer mode. So only by using the developer mode, you can create an application here. You can connect your MCP server here. I have connected that, and then I need to click creating a new app, and then I need to provide the MCP server URL here, and then I need to select the authentication as auth and click advanced settings. So in advanced settings, what you need to do, you go to the Azure AD application that you have created and copy the Azure AD application ID of client ID, basically the client ID, and then paste it here. And client secret is not required. Apart from that, what you need to do is that uh, you need to copy one of the URL from here and then you need to paste it there. Yeah, you need to copy this URL, callback URL, and then you need to paste it here in the authentications. You need to add a new URL here. I have already added here, so no need to add again. That's it. It will create a new app. I have already created a new app, MCP server for enterprise demo tenant. So I'm going to add MCP server for enterprise as a tool set for this prompt. And I'm trying to just trying to get an overview of this tenant. So the same MCP server, same data, different client. ChatGPT is just querying the same endpoint. Here you can notice that it is identifying the required query, and then it is running the required graph APIs and then getting the result. So I think this example is enough for ChatGPT case. I think, yeah. So Microsoft has made it that simple. Four predefined clients: VS Code, Visual Studio, Visual Studio, ChatGPT, Cloud, and one command for each, and or you can bring your one app with the custom scopes. And Azure Foundry is another option. Create agents that use MCP server as a tool. This is where it gets interesting for automation, scheduling, security assessments. So let me finally wrap up with what matters most and what you should do on Monday. So 5 things I want you to remember from today. Number 1, zero cost, zero code, zero excuses. 3 PowerShell commandlets, and 1 Visual Studio Code install, and you are running AI-powered security assessment. No budget approval needed. And then the point number 2, multi-MCP server is the real power. Using MCP, enterprise MCP and learn MCP together gives you the gives you the identify the risk and get the fix in one conversation. That's workflow that you changes your daily operations. And the point number three, not just VS Code, ChatGPT, Cloud, and Azure found the HitGub Copilot CLI. The client ecosystem is expanding fast. Pick the interface that fits your team. The fourth one, the complements. It complement, not replaces. MCP server for quick identity posture checks, security copilot for cross-product SOC investigations, and the Agent 365 for building automated workflows, different tools, and different jobs. And the fifth one, start on Monday. You are spending your Saturday on this and make it as a count. Set this up on Monday morning, run 7 queries from today on your one tenant, and I will guarantee you will find at least one thing you didn't know. And these are some of the resources to start. So all the links you need right here. And start with the get started guide. It will walk you through the full setup, and then the permission management page shows you the exactly how to control which clients get which scopes. And then I will share all these links in the event chat as well. Now, if you have any queries, let me know. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you. And I have already mentioned that it is read-only and it is going to use the delegated permissions. And it is right now the public cloud alone is supported no GCC. And then it is read-only. It won't provide the remediation. You need to use the learn MCP server to get the remediation process, but it won't going to remediate automatically. And then whether the multi-tenant MSPs, you can provision per tenant and 5 minutes each, and it is zero cost. And it is always there is no additional license or anything is required. MCP is basically a free one. And right now there is no write operation supported on the roadmap, and it is currently a read-only one. Thank you. Thank you for spending your Saturday with me. Now go spend 5 minutes on Monday and see how MCP server find the security issues in your tenant. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can connect me over LinkedIn. I want to share if you have any findings or anything, you can share it to me. Thank you. Have a nice day. Let me stop the sharing.
So, Narasimha, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, firstly, thanks for the great session. Very informative and demo type. That is currently we could do one more workaround, right? Like for example, we have Claude or
Okay.
Visual Studio.
Okay.
We install CLI for M365.
Okay.
And we give commands in Claude to CLI, and then CLI actually authenticates. We are the same enterprise application, and it can do the read and write operations.
Okay, I'm unable to understand your question. Are you trying to say you are using this same enterprise MCP enterprise application and you can do the write operation also?
So I'm doing this. I'm just putting that in the chat window.
Okay.
So I have Claude Desktop that connects to Microsoft CLI Node.js. That's connecting to Microsoft Graph, and then that finally goes to Enterprise app. And because the reason is because the read write operation is currently not allowed. So we could try to write via this is what I'm saying. So it kind of does the same thing, like the same natural language commands given to Claude.
Okay. 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 You are
So
doing the same thing. Okay.
Yeah.
But
So this
I
can
have,
do the write operations.
I have a question,
Okay.
Praveen. Santosh here. Are you enabling write access to a Claude to the Entra?
Me? You asking me, Santosh?
No, yeah, I'm asking you.
Yeah. In the Entra application, I've given read-write access. Yes.
You want to give read write to the Entra with a Claude?
Yeah. No, that's my test tenant, anyways.
No,
So,
I know, I all understand. Yeah, that's my question. Yeah, all good. Yeah,
yeah,
thanks.
that's my test tenant. So basically, because the current setup, as Narasimha was saying, we have the uh, write operations blocked in the MCP in Microsoft level. To
Yes, that's
circumvent
correct.
it, if you use CLI, it actually allows you to do the read write.
Yeah,
And also I do the controlled environment where I say that prompt me the command that you're going to run at every step, and I say allow or allow once or allow
Yeah, yeah,
always.
yeah,
So always
yeah,
I always have that allow once setup.
yeah.
Yeah. So just wanted to
Yeah.
say that we could
Okay, okay. Yeah, it is
this
a
way.
good idea. Yeah, I have
Yeah,
not
this
tried it,
way.
but it's a good idea one.
Yeah, this way. I mean, basically the same thing you did. It's just that when we can do write operations. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for sharing. Guys, if you have any questions, please let me know. And if you don't have any questions,